Heyo, welcome to OMFL Press Pass Live on a Monday night. My dude's here on the background. You see him right here on the side here. They were talking the whole time. I was like, these guys are going to be talking when I hit the start button, and they weren't. They knew exactly when it was time to go ahead and land the conversation. We are live on YouTube Vertical, and Twitch. I have no clue what it looks like, so you guys have to give me some feedback if you're on Twitch or YouTube Vertical. We've had to dumb down the YouTube Vertical and the YouTube stream so that we could stream on Twitch. It's worth a shot. I just want to try it. I want to see how it goes. Hope you're doing good. Let me welcome in my two buddies here, Mr. D. Wayne of the Dallas Cowboys, my co-commish, and Mr. Maniac, my peer of the Deuce Dynasty and owner of the Buffalo Bills. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Can't complain at all. Nice cold beer and hanging out with some friends. You can't beat that.
You cannot beat that. Not a bad way to start a Monday night. We've got our eyes on the tropics down here, though. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on things, seeing how things are going. I'm supposed to fly off till Milwaukee. And so, like, the idea of flying during a hurricane doesn't really sit too well with me. I'm a little nervous about it, but we're going to see how it goes. Guys, we're going to be talking the league, the settings. We're going to be talking some trades. The mailbag is already starting to fill up, so lots for us to dig into and talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. I opened this up to you both. We just advanced to week 2 in the preseason last night, and I said, hey, if you want to talk about the preseason, now's the time to do so. I don't know if you want to, because, I mean, there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the preseason, but anything in the preseason catching your eye? D. Wayne was sharing with me. He's got his eyes on some scores. It seems pretty smooth. People seem to be enjoying it. Definitely some trade-offs. What do you guys think about the preseason?
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking the settings, the game. I mean, it's playing really good. I think there's the preseason's a good thing because it helps us kind of fill out the new game, gets us back in the swing of things and stuff. Notice that there's some teams, you know, that are 0-2, you know, but kind of like I think a lot of people approach it probably like I do, but they may not. So I'm just speaking for myself. But the kind of like the first part of the game, I take it a little bit more serious because I want to see like my starting 11. You know, I've already kind of got that figured out, so I want to see how they compete against the other guys' starters, and so you know I'm kind of have a little bit of a game plan going through the first half. The second half is just like, okay, I need to find what this guy can do, what he can't do. You know, he's not very good in his breaks. You know, he can't run a 20-yard in very good because he's too slow. You know, in his agility or whatever. You know, so just looking at those things and stuff, and but it is a good opportunity to see like some of your younger players, and it's always fun to kind of have competition, but also tinker with your team to see what you got and what you can and what you can't do. You know.
No, Maniac's exactly right. You know, I was just glancing over while he was talking the week 1 and week 2 scores, and you can see week 1, everybody. I don't know if you have one game over 30 points or 2 games, something like that. You could tell that the starters played a quarter and most backups played 3 quarters. And you go to week 2 and you kind of see the offense pick up a little bit. But I think we found a good mix on kind of riding that line to where we don't have 40-point games, but we also don't have 8 to 10 interceptions a game. So far, my 2 opponents I've played, they've have been pleasantly enjoyed the games. I mean, as much as you can enjoy, it's a preseason game, but nobody enjoys losing a game. But they've both been pretty high on the game itself and the settings itself. And I'm kind of hoping, that whole feeling carries over the regular season, and we can keep this up and everybody enjoy this Madden.
Well, let's just kind of use that as a starting point for both of you, let's just talk about the settings. We decided to go all Madden, at least for season 1. There really was some pros and cons to both. But ultimately, in the OMFL, we really want to award the team builder, the strategist, the guy who builds his playbook and sort of out schemes the other guy. And you lost a little bit of that when you go to All Madden. The ceiling was definitely lower and the floor was definitely higher, but that sort of smashing of players meant that like 74 overall players sort of played very close to an 89-year overall player, and then 89 overall player kind of played close to a 99 overall player. They sort of all kind of got smushed pretty close together. And on All Pro, it's a little bit more of a wider gap, but it's also much easier to play on All Pro than it is on All Madden. And so there was definitely some pros and some cons. We settled going All Pro. We also settled, and we can talk about this a bit because we were talking about it with Wayne just a little bit as Maniac joined us, but the new passing mechanic. So we have passed a rule where you have to do revamp passing or the classic mode. And you've seen it right in chat this morning, right? Nipples is asking questions because poor guy has no clue of things that were added since Madden 22. He's been so asleep like Cinderella over here. Somebody needs to kiss the fella, wake him up a little bit. And he's asking about classic versus revamped, and Priest is like, go classic. There's no reason to do anything else. And I'm sort of on the other side. Revamped is sort of the way to learn. It does have a learning curve. What do you guys think about the settings, especially when it comes to the revamp passing? I'm enjoying it, but there is a bit of a learning curve. And Wayne, you were even saying like you feel like the ball comes out much less velocity.
Yeah, just in my 2 games, I played both of them with the revamp, and it does feel. Just like I said, you probably shouldn't compare 2 Maddens because this Madden's they've made a ton of changes to it, at least gameplay wise. It does feel like there's less zip there, and I think that will kind of improve as I learn it and play more with that pass, and then kind of get used to how I need to pass and when I need to pass like that. I just don't know if you're going to make that, cross body drag route or something like that that's going the opposite way, because I think you're going to be punished for that this cycle. But I also think that kind of brings a bit of realism to the game, because that's not a very good pass in real life. And throwing across your body, and I think this revamp passing and the way we have our settings, I think it's going to punish guys for kind of making unorthodox passes that they probably shouldn't make. That I thought that maybe last Madden I've seen, especially really good quarterbacks, and I know that the Patrick Mahomes of the world and stuff like that can make those passes. 99% of your quarterbacks are not making some of this unworldly passes, and I think that the way we have our settings set up, the way the passing set up, I think it's going to bring your passing to a lot more realistic level.
Yeah, I agree with Dwayne there. I think like with the revamp, because that's one of the selling points in the college game was the revamp passing, and it's supposed to take into effect like more of the attributes, and then also you have more control of like floating the ball over the linebackers and trying to float that deep corner in over the top of the cornerback. And so there is a big learning curve because, obviously you hold the button down too long for like what used to be a bullet pass. Well, it's too much, and the ball kind of goes a little bit wherever it's going to go. And a lot of times it's either short, and those are the ones that are usually going to get picked off either by the middle linebackers kind of waiting because it's going to come out really fast, really not very much height on the ball, and then also like throwing out routes and stuff like that. If you don't hit it just right, it's gonna cause issues with the accuracy and stuff. But man, if you start to get the feel of it, it's to me it's more natural for me. I mean, so far, even in the college and then them adding it to Madden, it feels more natural when you're throwing. You're kind of anticipating, and the ball comes out. For me, looking at the quarterback, more or less what I'm kind of imagining what it would be like. And I think you're going to see guys that have just say, for instance, like Dak Prescott. He has 90 throwing power compared to Josh Allen. He's got 99. I think there is a gap there, and I think it also takes in effect that 90 through 99, there is a big difference in how much velocity and zip that comes out of the quarterback's hand, and so that's going to be one thing I think guys, if injuries take effect, you got your starting quarterback. Say if Josh Allen goes out for me, and I've got to go with my backup, you're probably going to struggle because you've kind of gotten used to a certain style and the throws that Josh Allen can make good. Some of those deeper throws, my backup's not going to be able. Trubisky's not going to be able to do that. So you're going to have to then learn a new system or change up your game plan and run a different style because it's gonna throw you for a loop. But I do think it's the most realistic thing that Madden has put out for passing in a long time. So
it helps if you don't mute yourself. I was typing something and I was like, oh yeah, let me mute myself. Yeah, I agree with you both. I think the new revamped passing takes some getting used to, but that loft that it puts and the arc that it puts on the ball is a game changer. It allows you to make passes. There's one today. I was playing D-Money, I'm sorry, and there's a linebacker sort of playing in a zone. There's a good, that normal 7 to 6 to 8, somewhere in there, 6 to 8 yard difference between the depth of the receiver and the depth of the linebacker. In the new revamp passing, just put it right over the place of that linebacker, caught it, actually spun out and scored a touchdown. So the revamp passing is definitely hitting the mark. There's been some tweaks that's made defense a little bit better. And I know, Maniac, you even said after the update, you were like, oh my God, I'm throwing a lot of interceptions. They sort of fixed whatever. And I had a really fun first game. And though I know D-Money and I were not taking today's preseason game serious at all, and it's sort of hard to tell with settings, with sliders, with scores, with stats, like it's preseason. It's backups playing backups. Some guys put in their starters, like, Bronco Man or whatnot. So you just it's very hard to sort of extrapolate what is this game going to play like in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the regular season. But I did find today there was some weird stuff happening. And I don't know if it's just D-Money's team. They're rated really good. He's a really great owner. But, man, he was running away from guys today. He was making dudes take really bad angles. And I know angles are a problem. They're a problem in college. They're really bad. In Madden, I know they've been really bad. But I didn't really see it a ton in my first couple of games, especially my first preseason game. But, man, this week, they were really bad. You can go back and watch that game. I didn't stream like this today. I didn't have time. I just sort of had to do the old school straight from the PlayStation stream. But it just was terrible. Guys were taking terrible angles. There's at least 3 touchdowns where these are easy sort of up the middle, cut it out, and he's gone. Or easy comeback routes against 3 people in his zone. He catches it, does the little spin towards the sideline. Bam, he's gone, just running away from people. It's a bit of a problem. I'm rambling now, but I pitched a rule to the board that I ended up not going forward with and didn't even put it up for a vote, but I was toying with the idea that I sort of floated out there and didn't get great response of allowing, if there is a runaway and it's the last player in the play, that you could switch one time. And after playing, I sort of talked myself out of it, but these angles are so bad and guys just sort of run away from you. And it's the defenders don't even make an attempt on the tackle. I don't know. It just felt really bad in my game today versus D-Money. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I know it's not some people's cup of tea. Some people feel like it plays exactly the same. I find that it's really smooth, plays really well. It's not perfect. It needs some better updates, especially around zone, especially around the not the coverages, the angles. But that's, if you go look at college, it's sort of the same sort of problem. And I think some of it is they just build these games to be more offensive minded and more offensive heavy, because that's what people want to see, especially young people, and sort of the way that they go. Let's talk trades. This has been it has been quite the
trades.
Yeah, quite the hot button topic, I guess you could say, here of recently, as D-Money does what D-Money does, and he just goes out there and, man, he He's a used car salesman. That guy does not leave you alone. Once he gets his fangs in you, he continues to go after you until he gets the deal he wants. And we have some owners here that just kind of give things away and think they get value, but clearly we seen last year you're not really getting value, but yet they do it again. And the problem I have, a couple things. I'll ramble and then I'm going to open it up to both of you. Maniacs ran leagues for a long time. Dwayne's been around here for a long time and has kind of watched trades happen in different ways. But here's the two things. Number one, specifically this season, is the value of first round picks is not representative of what that first round pick really is. Whether it is they're getting a higher value for it because they're going to be a really good team, but right now Madden ranks them as a bad team. Say a Panthers, a Bird, right? We know Bird's picks are not going to be top 5. They're just not going to be. Our buddy Priest, who we know is averaging somewhere in that top 15, right? Sometimes he'll have a season where he's really, really good, but most of the time he's in sort of that top 15. A lot of times we've seen him in that top 5, and yet his first round picks are rated like 27th or so. And so D-Money's out there hustling. Priest has already given a bunch of picks away, and now we had several different offers. And what caught my attention, because I usually don't pay attention unless someone tags me, is people were like, I'm denying it, not because it isn't fair or the points don't add up. It's just not good for the league. It's like that's a bad move for the league. And so that's the issue here, is picks are not valued appropriately for what that team really will be. And number two is like, and I'll go off on a rant on this later because it's definitely in the mailbag, but like I'm over the Dwayne yucky, like not Dwayne, listen to me, sorry, the D-Money, just like, oh, he's so good and we suck and he's going to win 5 more. And Nate's already pre-ordered. Like I'm really over it. I don't find it funny. I don't giggle at it. I'm like over it because it really does like squash the energy of the league. And everybody thinks, oh, like, why am I playing? Why am I even trying? And guys start to really unplug. And like, I hate that. Like, yes, he is good, but there are a lot of good players here and whatever. Like, I just like, I'm over it. So anyway, at the end of the day, we passed a rule saying you got to hold on to those first round picks until you get into week number 5. By then, we have a better idea of what that first round pick is worth one way or the other. And D-Money is not just like scooping up a bunch of low valued picks. The guy is going to do what he does. He is relentless. He focuses. He has a lot of time on his hands because of his job. And man, he goes after it. And he picks the weak among us. I don't know if I can say that, but it feels like he picks the weak among us and goes and gets his teeth on. Last thing I'll say, and that's I sort of really went off in the trade chat the other day. That is not for y'all's personal commentary. It is not for you. Like this whole idea of like, if Maniac post players, I got to make a comment about how those aren't good players and you should look at my players. Or I got to make a comment on, oh, those guys aren't worth what he's at. Like none of your damn business. Shut up. Like I'm just over the like second grader. Like we are all adults. We are all grown-ups. That is for trade chat only. If you are interested in a player, DM. If you are not, shut up, ignore it, and move on with your life or post your own board. So that's sort of my rant about trades. I don't know if y'all like it or hate it. Maniac didn't even give us a vote, so I have no idea what he even thinks. Dwayne, you sort of seemed like maybe you were on the fence. I don't know, but overall, we only had 1 vote down. That was, I guess I shouldn't say who voted down. We had 1 vote down. We had 5 for passing it, so we went ahead and passed it. What do you guys think about the new trade mechanism that we put in place and just kind of trades in general, especially early on here in the OMFL?
I mean, me personally, Nate, I'm for it. I think setting on 4 weeks, you kind of see where your team's at. I do think it's hard, especially season 1, to kind of see where guys are at. And I mean, just to point out the awkwardness in the room. Like, me and Priest have been friends for a long time in here, and Priest usually picks. I've seen him as low, very high in the draft. I've seen him low 20s on his better seasons, and that specific trade I think was you're talking about all your day 1 and day 2 picks for 2 guys on expiring contracts, and most of these guys in Madden ask for stupid amounts of money. And I love Priest, and Priest loves his Packers, and he likes to chase names, and he tries to put a good team on the field. And I just think I think the step back was needed there, and to kind of sit back. And I don't think 4 weeks is a good way to sit back and see where you're at in that season. And because if he's 0-4 at that point, then he's probably not making that trade. If he's 4-0 in that point, then yes, you maybe have a valid reason to go all in on year 1 or year 2 or whatever year you're in. I do think that 4th week, in the grand scheme of things, is not costing you a bunch. Yes, you lose the guy who trades his first round pick for that guy. He loses 4 weeks with the guy that, in my opinion, I would never trade a first round pick for a rental. But if he's trading for a rental, then he does still have 15. Was it like 4 weeks and 13 games left or whatever it is? I think 4 weeks in gives guys kind of a basis to look at. Hey, I'm 1-3. I'm 0-4. Should I really be trading that first round pick and at this point for a rental, or should I be trading that first round pick for an 85 overall guy and that is kind of that borderline guy? I mean, y'all know how that is when you get a guy. He's kind of right there teetering on. He's probably the bottom end of a very high group, or he's on the upper end of that lower paid group. And I just think that 4th week, or waiting to the 5th week, is a good move. It just gives guys, it kind of takes it. And speaking from somebody like me, there's certain guys that I picked him up for agent, Keanu O'Neal. I've sold my soul to D-Money a few times for him. And that takes it out of your hands and lets you sit on it till week 5. And if you're 4-0, hey, I guess I don't have anything to say to you if you want to, trade your quote unquote future to try to win now. You're 4-0, you're having a good season. But if you're 0-4 and you're trying to trade your first round pick to D-Money, who will, he's going to turn that into something great. Which there's a bunch of guys. I hate to be the one like that. You were talking about, just. And this is not personal D-Money, and I was talking about this earlier. Talking about my wife, who really cares about this. That I said there's a fine line to tread there, because everybody knows me and D-Money have been a rivalry for a long time. A rivalry that he's mostly dominated, so I can see where people might think that there's a bias there, and there's not. There's a handful of owners here who would turn that first round pick into a great player.
Yep.
And this is not just at D-Money. He just happens to be the one getting these great deals to start this Madden. And I just think it's not a bad thing to sit back into that 5th week and let guys see where they're at in the season and see if they really want to mortgage that future to make a run this season. And I know I kind of got on a rant there, so Maniac, I'll let you take that.
Before Maniac, it's like we've seen it last cycle, right? D-Money makes the deal for Pacheco and just absolutely wrecks the league for him. The Chiefs don't even finish, 2 seasons with McCaffrey, and it just got the raw end of that deal. Did not get a good deal out of it. Maniac, you've seen trades done a ton of different ways, a ton of different years. Trades in general, what do you think?
I'm still upset you don't like gifts. No.
I don't like gifts that annoy me. All right, when I'm trying to be serious and there's gifts that are like, you know what I mean.
I'm just joking. I had to throw that out there. I like to break the tension. I try to anyway. Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what D-Money is. We've seen it for what, 5 Maddens, 6 Maddens, or whatever. A couple Maddens ago, I fell into that. I traded with D-Money and then watched him take my pick that I struggled with, and end up giving him a top 10 or top 12 or whatever. My team was not ready, and I thought they were ready, and he ended up getting like a really nice player that was like an absolute just juggernaut of a player for him for the rest of the cycle, and guys, a lot of guys see that, and it's just like, come on, I had to learn the hard way, but D-Money is just, he's got that reputation that, and it's like one of those sayings, you can't live down your reputation, and like you said, he's a car salesman, a used car salesman. He can sell you a lemon, and tell you that's a Ferrari, and,
Yep.
it's going to run 120 down the interstate, and you jump in and start it up, and it's like, man, that thing's only going 10 miles an hour. You know, what's wrong? You know, and I think it's a good thing. I didn't vote on it because I was kind of like, I was on the fence too, because I was thinking like, well, you know, what if guys are trying to, you know, make a trade and stuff, but after like sitting on it, and I didn't get to vote on it and stuff, but I think it's a good thing. I think, you know, like Dwayne was saying, it waits, you know, 4 or 5 weeks there, and you know, you kind of see like what's going to happen. Like, okay, well, you know, this guy's 0-4, and you know, probably need to keep that pick, you know, that first round pick, because that's a very important part of trying to turn your franchise around. Because yeah, you can go rent a guy like a CMC or a Debo or whatever, you know, whatever that, you know, D-Money or whoever else that might be offering a player, you know, you could get, and yeah, they may be great for a season, but you know, if the rest of your team is struggling, and then you throw away, you know, 2 or 3 of your top 80 picks in the next draft, and then maybe even have to throw in one from another draft in the future, you know, so you're already like putting yourself in a hole. And we all know that the cap penalties for players and stuff, once, you know, it gets going, you have to pay these guys, and they want stupid amounts of money, and so you've got to have a great balance of rookies and also veteran guys that can help build your team. If you get too much of one, I really don't think you can have too many young guys. Obviously, that's kind of the way D-Money kind of operates. He keeps like a nucleus of like 5, 6, 7 guys on his squad, and then he just kind of builds everybody else around those guys and just dominates and stuff. So, but if you're hawking your future already, I mean, you know, it's going to be 4 seasons in before you actually recover, you know, and you're probably not going to have that guy that you just traded. But if you keep that draft pick, you draft that player, 3, 4, 5 seasons down the road, you probably still got that guy, and he's probably a 90 something overall player, X factor on your team, and you still got him as you're now building towards the future. Hopefully at that point in time, you know, you're trying for a championship, you know, in the league. So
2 more things about trades, and then we'll move on to the OMFL mailbag, which is already really full here. Number 1, and that's sort of the role of, I'm checking out the YouTube stream because it's telling me the bit rate is too low, which is the struggle with multi-streaming. Is Twitch, you can only kind of go so high, and with YouTube you can go much, much higher, have a much cleaner stream. So I'm just trying to decide. I'm talking out loud with y'all. That's what I realized I am. I'm a thinker out louder, and so I'm trying the multiple stream one last time, and I'm going to decide after I go back and watch if I'm going to keep doing this or if I'm just going to stay on YouTube, where everything runs super smooth and super high quality and looks really good. Anyway, number 1, the trade committee. Yes, they have a job to make sure that guys are submitting good trades. They also have a job to protect teams from themselves and the league from really bad trades. And they rarely, if ever, draw that line and cross it and say no to a trade. But I've empowered them to say, like, I need them. That is why there is a committee to watch these trades and say, that's actually really bad for the league or really bad for this one owner, because owners leave and we have to replace teams. And as we've seen before, because D-Money's done it before in the past, watching a guy win 5 of 6 championships in a league for a cycle just absolutely kills the momentum, the energy, and the excitement for the entire league. So they do have a job to continue to watch for that. Second, and it's on the screen now, 2 big trades did take place. The Rams sent Tre'Davious White to the Steelers, who sent their first-round pick. That is a massive move there for Mr. Penguins. He's already putting together a hell of a defense. And then I just realized tonight as I was checking this out, Drake May is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Mr. Steven Ryder is in the Hall of Fame. He is retired. He is now the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I thought was a brilliant idea, and I'm going to steal that for next cycle. But Mr. Drake May, the rookie, moving over from the Patriots, who bring over their import quarterback, he's going to play in Tampa. That could be pretty big. We've seen what he did with Steven Ryder. Drake May's sort of a poor man's version of Steven. What do you guys think about those trades? trades or maybe some of these others as big moves?
Go ahead, Maniac.
Yeah, I think those are some big trades, man. I didn't know about the Penguins one. I guess I missed that one, and all the Gifala that went on in the trade chat. But yeah, that's a big trade. I didn't even I played Penguins too, and I didn't even notice it. I will say. My wide receiver my import wide receiver was cooking one of his cornerbacks. I don't know if it was wide or not, but I have to go back and look at that, see if that was the one he was beating. But for Kev to pick up that type of quarterback, I think it's going to be huge. I think he's going to really build May up. He'll have him being one of the top 5-10 quarterbacks in the league before the next season. I guarantee you, like he'll use this season to build him up, get the stats, build him up, and then next season he'll be really competing and he'll be one of the top guys here, getting all the hardware.
Well, I think the Steelers-Rams trade is kind of a win-win for both. I think, Fleury, we were talking about him earlier. I played him that week 1 of the preseason, and I think he knows the Rams are an older team. They have an older quarterback, and, they're kind of, stuck in that phase. Aaron Donald just retired to where they're kind of fixing to turn everything over. And I know that, Stafford and Cooper Kupp, that connection doesn't quite carry to Madden like it does in real life. And I know he's probably looking at, he's got to, invest in his future. And the sooner he invests in his future, the sooner he can turn around, the sooner he's competing in that division he's in, which is a gauntlet of a division. And I think it's a good move for Penguins. We all know Penguins is a bona fide champion here. He's dominated in every team he's been with at some point. So I think it's a good move for a win now team with the Steelers, with Penguin and the Rams. He gets a first round pick. And he kind of gets that rebuild started up, and maybe he could turn around a lot faster now that he's made this trade. And we're talking about the May or Drake May, Marcus May. That's a safety. Drake May going over there to Kevin, and Kevin's probably one of the most underrated quarterback gurus we've had here. I think, and Nate, you've seen him. Now that he's been with the Bucks, and then when he was with the Dolphins for all those years, somehow he finds a quarterback somewhere, and he has one of the highest rated, most explosive quarterbacks in the league year in and year out. It's a good trade both sides there. I think the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken, I was trying to pull them up. He brought over Rusty Starr. He had no use for a May, and so he brought over an import. Doesn't need it. He got some trade value out of him. He trades him to the NFC. He doesn't have to see him unless he goes to OMFL Bowl or the once or twice a cycle. You do some inter conference games. So he gets him out of the AFC. He gets some trade value out of him. He wasn't going to use him either way with Rusty Starr in the mix. I think it's a win-win again for both teams here. The Patriots get to add some ammo to that team, and Kevin gets his next franchise quarterback, which is bad for the NFC South.
Let's open up the OMFL mailbag. It's been quite a while since we've done it. We had a few last time we were together last week, but now there's a whole bunch of them. And Colin's diving right into what we started tonight talking about. He said, are you a Maniac going with the classic or revamp passing? What do you think the pros and cons are of both? Maniac, you get us started.
Yeah, so the pros I think for revamped is obviously the total control that you can have over passing. It especially if you have a really good quarterback that has a lot of the attributes that can back it up. I think you can see that it's going to take your passing experience to the next level. It's just like everything else. Just like even with the kicking meter and stuff like that, you just got to go and get into practice mode. That is the best way, just to start throwing passes. And another thing is just go into practice mode just with offense only. So that way you're not feeling the rush or whatever. You just kind of drop back and you can just kind of start feeling like, okay, you got to hold the button so long to get it to loft and so much, hold it for a good a bullet pass, but not too much. And forearms like the classic, I think it's a good option, but I think you know you have to do a lot more things with your fingers, to get like a higher lofting pass, because you have to hold the left bumper or L1 on the controller to get the high pass, or the trigger or L2 on the left button there to get the low trajectory. And still, it's like there's a lot of moving parts. If you're used to it, yeah, probably go for it. But I think you're going to miss a lot of the integral parts of the revamp passing that you could experience just not really giving it a shot. So, but anyway, that's what I would say. Just go into practice mode, no defense. Just start throwing a deep pass, mid passes, outside passes. Just kind of get a feel like what you need to experience in the game to make it work.
Yeah, I think he's right. I was actually going to bring that up earlier. I had to pass my Rams game that 100% was the passing type. Just it might have been a couple Maddens now that we've been able to do like kind of like the back corner fade or something like that. And I felt like that new passing kind of allowed me to do that. Kind of a corner route from like the slot position or something like that, where you can just kind of put on that back thing and let your receiver go get it. And I believe that passing mechanic allows you to have that one. I think that's a missing thing Madden's had for a while now, is like inside the 5. If you didn't run like an out route or a drag route or something like that, like it was really hard to pass when it's close. And I think this passing mechanic kind of opens that back up to where you can do that fade. I think there's a couple. I actually was just practicing one, like an I formation that has that end zone fade in it, and that's kind of been a lost thing here for a long time because the game didn't replicate it the way the real life does. And I think this one's going to help. It seemed like the receiver does make more of a play on it, but that quarterback's able to put it in a spot to where I guess that we haven't had. And I think that type of passing should open up a lot more variety in inside the 10 for a lot of owners this cycle. So I'm kind of excited. Like Maniac said, I do think it's something you need to go practice. You've really got to figure it down because you are taking kind of the next step up, going from the classic to the revamp. It's worth going in there and kind of learning what you can and what you can't do with it.
In college, sometimes those screens can be tough with revamp passing. It's like slowly fills up for some weird reason, and you have to hold on to it a lot longer. I have not seen that in Madden, but it's something definitely keep an eye on. And sometimes that meter is going to fill up different. So you sort of just need that practice. And Maniac, you hit it on the head for me when you said, just like the kicking. Guess what? We're week 2 of preseason. Guys have figured out the kicking. You just need a little practice. That's it. Just go play with it a little bit and you'll get it figured out. So whether it's Maniac telling you to use your fingers more or Nate telling you to play with it more, either way, go put in some practice and you will get there one way or the other. Mr. Birdman, I think I said Colin. No, I didn't. No, it's Nicehunger next. Nicehunger says, what's English? Not my first language. What's your guys' dark horse team for each division to win their division? I think he's just saying who's the dark horses in every single division. Let's go ahead and jump back into the game and start going through these. So you guys just give me your dark horses as I go through these, and we'll go division by division really quick. If I can see it. Hold on, let me see. What do I want? What do I want? I don't even know what I want. I guess I want this. All right, let's go AFC North. We got Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. Who's the dark horse in that division?
Tough division because you got 4. You got 4 legit owners. I mean, you got Penguins, Nipples, Denbrew, and then Koch is back with the Bengals. And I think we were just talking about that. Don't they switch back and forth? So you got 4 legit owners in that division. I guess you'd say my surprise, the other 3 owners I know are locked in. My surprise would be Nipples. If like I said, if Nipples is engaged, Nipples could be the upset guy in the division because the other 3, I kind of expect them to bring it every week. Week in, week out, those guys just are great owners and play in. And when Ravens are engaged, Nips engaged, he's a great one. You just got to find time away from work and everything else, and that's why he's my surprise here, because you literally have 4 teams there that can win that division.
Yeah, I had to go with that instead of like the dark horse. It's the dark surprise nipple. So that's
Yep.
so, but yeah, he's the one that's always kind of like he's when he's plugged in, like I mean he can be nearly unstoppable. But then we know if it's work and stuff, sometimes he just can't. He's not able to really apply himself to that team like he probably would really like to. So. I think you have to go with Nips there on being the dark horse.
I don't know if we can keep blaming work. I think we've done that for a long time. I think the issue is he just doesn't care, which is fine. Not everybody's got to care. I just wish he cared a little bit more because he's such an engaging personality, such a fun human being. And when, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when Nips was like fully engaged and like this was a big part of kind of his self-care, I mean, it was a ton of fun. Like him in the wrestling league and when he first joined the OMFL was just a blast. And that's just not the Nips anymore. I'm going to say Steelers, like you all said, these are all good teams, all good owners, all have been in bowl games before, like literally everyone in this division. Steelers, just because we haven't seen it. Taking over a team that wasn't there last year. Give me the Steelers. AFC South, Jaguars, Colts, Titans, Texans. Give me a dark horse. Maniac.
Give me the because I'm thinking like Kobe's the Titans now, so but he did struggle
Byron
a little bit
Jaguars.
last Madden. Who's the Jaguars now? Pepper?
Byron. Black Cats.
Byron. Oh, okay.
Black Cats.
Black Hat. Yeah. So, I mean, all these guys have either been like in a bowl game, except for Raj, but I really think I want to pick Raj because like he's just like right on the cusp of getting improving, or he plays to the very end of the game and just nearly loses and stuff. If life will just work out for him a little bit better, with this health situation and stuff, I think Raj could be the dark horse here because he could like throw some major monkey wrenches into some of these teams' plans, and either helps him possibly win the division for the first time, or propel somebody else because he's wreaked some havoc on a couple teams or whatever. So.
Yeah, I think Raj is like my Chaotix of 2024. Like, I don't remember. Y'all both obviously know Chaotix, but he was one. I don't know if he ever won the NFC South or anything like that, but like he might be 2-12, and he would battle you down to the minute every time you played him. Like nobody blew Chaotix out, and I feel like that's with Raj. Like Raj can win any game. I think the Colts and Titans kind of speak for themselves with just the way they've played this last couple cycles. I want to go to the Jaguars. I know I'm a little biased because that's my buddy, but he went from his actual Panthers, and then I think he was over there was he with you last cycle, Nate?
No, before that he was with the Panthers, and then last cycle he was over the Chargers. Yeah,
that's right. And he goes to Jaguars, and I think he could be a surprise because when he's engaged and he's not. If he gets a little confidence behind him, he can be a really good player. I think he's actually he made one OMFL Bowl run since he's been here.
Yep.
And this is another division where you got two guys here, and Randy, who won a championship the first or last cycle, if I'm not mistaken. Kobe's won a championship here. Raj, like I said, gets everybody hell that he plays with. And I think the Jaguars are my surprise here. I think he can be overlooked, especially with those two Titans. No pun intended there. Kobe and Randy in that division. And then with Raj, I think the Jaguars are my surprise. I think he's got a good quarterback in there. He's got a good running back. He's got some good pieces. I think he might surprise some people.
Yep, I completely agree with you. I'm going Jaguars not either. I'm going with the Jaguars also. 3 of the 4 teams have been in a bowl game before. I love Raj. I just don't know that he can be a dark horse this season. He's got another surgery kind of prepared. Give me the Jaguars. We're going to have to put on our go-go gadget racing boots here because we're going to be here all night. Took 10 minutes to get through 2 divisions. Next one up is going to be the AFC East. We got Bills, and that is Maniac. We got Jets, and that is Cincy Bird. We got Dolphins with Massimo. Patriots with his import quarterback, Mr. Lost Sniper. Who is your dark horse? I'm taking it right off the bat. I'm saying Patriots. He is itching to make a run. He is due a run. Give me the Patriots to be the dark horse in this division.
Yeah, I want Maniac go last since it's his division. Yep. And I know he's either going to take himself down, so he's going to make sure we just undershoot him. I honestly would probably go with Maniac and the Bills. Nobody's sleeping on Cincy with the Jets. The Jets are a great team. He's got an older quarterback. I can guarantee you, since he's got a plan already in his head to replace him, and the Jets have a ton of weapons, and they're young outside of Aaron Rodgers. The Dolphins, one of the scariest teams in the league. Massimo could take a team that's not scary and be scary, and putting him with the speed that the Dolphins do, it's just like a match made in heaven. Massimo and the Dolphins are. The Patriots, Sniper has won game in and game out with that Patriots team. He's got Rusty Starr leading the way. He's got to get some skill positions around him, but I expect the Patriots to be a playoff contender, if not a AFC championship contender throughout this cycle. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills because he's got Josh Allen. You got Maniac, who just dedicates so much time to building his team, and he wants you to sleep on him so much that we're just not going to. He just got to get – he don't really need the skill weapons, but he gets some skill weapons around the Bills, around Josh Allen. And the Bills have a pretty solid defense. And then you got to say you got a great owner, great coach running them. I think the Bills are a team that can surprise you no matter what their coach would say.
Yeah, you're totally wrong. So, no, I'm going with the Patriots also. I think, well, Sniper, that quarterback, bringing him in to start the cycle off, I think that just really sets his team up to be successful the rest of this Madden. But I think the thing you run into those situations like that where you got an import quarterback that's a highly rated quarterback, it changed the whole dynamics of that team. And I think looking at his team, he's got a solid squad around him. They're not like he does need some pieces, but he's been working a little bit to build that through some free agent, and then I almost guarantee you, like, he's going to get some kind of trade worked out here or something pretty soon for a couple players. But I think looking at his team and stuff, he's just I think he's just set himself up for success, and I think he's going to surprise some guys here in this first season, and he's definitely my total dark horse for this division.
AFC West, Kansas City and our guy Shocks, Jay Glaze and the Broncos, Pepper and the Chargers, and then our guy Jay Bowles and the Raiders. Who's the dark horse coming out of here, Mr. Maniac?
Could you say all four? I mean,
fact.
Realistically, all these guys in one time or another have had success, but then they also had equally the amount of disappointments also for their team. So any one of these guys, I think, could be the dark horse. I'm going to bypass the Chiefs because I think his roster alone with the defending champs kind of gives him a leg up. So he's not really, a full-blown dark horse. But we've seen him have some struggles, but we've also seen him have some good success. So I'm going to say that, he's kind of the upper echelons right now of that division. But I think the one that you're going to see, I think, is the Broncos. I think the Broncos with Bo Nix, the young quarterback, he's got a solid defense. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to probably surprise some. I know Pepper has the ability to, if he turns it on, he can make waves. The Raiders, we've seen him last cycle come out of nowhere, especially like the last 2 seasons of the cycle, really competing for playoff spots, and then actually even made the playoffs. So, but I just see like Jay Glaze, I think, with the Broncos, I think his young team, how his defense is set up to start out of the box, I think he's going to be that dark horse. No pun intended with the Broncos being a horse, but the dark horse of the AFC West.
I think Maniac said it real well. Though. All four of these guys can win when they're engaged and playing at the top of their game. Chiefs have a great roster. Broncos have a young quarterback with a upgrading roster. But Glazes did a lot with a little for a long time. I think the Chargers rebuilding, but they got a great quarterback in place. I'm going to go with Jay Bowles and the Raiders in this one. And for a few things, I think the quarterback position, he brought an import over Gaston Walter, I think is how you say his name, is a stud. And Jay Bowles don't need any more. I mean, he's got the skill position guys in place. He's got Javante Adams. He's got two just young, good tight ends. I think he's one fast receiver away from being super scary with the way that he's got his quarterback. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think they're one piece away from doing it, but he's got a team in place. Seems like he's engaged. I think this could be the Raiders division or the Raiders to call this division if he gets another piece or two around that import quarterback.
I'm taking the Chiefs. He has not gotten to a bowl. He's had some good runs, gotten deep into the playoffs. I think this is the year we see him get to a bowl game. I think it's going to set up really well for him. We've already seen the preseason kind of break out really well for him. So give me the Chiefs in the AFC West. NFC North, we got Priest and his Packers. We got Neislinger and the Vikings. Colin and the Bears, and then our guy Tim and the Lions. Who's the dark horse, Mr. Dwayne, coming out of this NFC North?
Yeah, I think this first year that my dark horse has to be, and it's. I guess it's not really a dark horse. I still feel like this is going to be Colin's division at some point. Colin's just such a competitor. He's got a young quarterback. He gets more pieces in place for that Bears team. I think they're going to be scary. This season one, I think this is Tim's division. I think Tim's going to win it. He's got a great team in place. The Lions are full of some just stud players on both sides of the ball. Tim has shown he can play with anybody. I think last cycle he might have been the biggest. I think he beat D-Money twice last cycle by himself, along with beating Meek Boy once. I think he beat – there's somebody else that he beat. It's like Tim just comes out of nowhere and beats these teams, and he's got it in him. I think this is Tim's especially season one, season two. I think this is for sure Tim's division. Colin's going to turn it around. He's going to get that Bears right. Once he gets Caleb Williams dialed in, the Bears are going to be hard to beat. The Vikings are nice. He's got a hard one. He's got J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. He's got Justin Jefferson a receiver. He's got the pieces in place. Don't sleep on him. The Packers, I think if Priest can just get his pieces in place without blowing that roster apart, I think Priest could make some runs this cycle. This division might be one of your most intriguing divisions because of the diversity of players you have in it, diversity of styles, and diversity of teams.
Yeah, I think like this is another division like the one we just talked about with the AFC West. I think all these guys could be considered like kind of like dark horse because they're not neither one of these guys in a while. Colin, I think, is probably the one that's had the most success recently, and that was like the last season of last Madden where he was like right on Dwayne's heels, I think, for that division lead. The one thing I will say, and I know the two games are completely, utterly different, but Priest has been a different kind of player in college. He's running with Texas Tech. That's his favorite college team. And he's actually won like 9 games over there. And he has played some human opponents and computer opponents, but he's kind of shocked me. And then I see now in preseasons, he's already 2-0, which I know it's preseason. But I do see a little bit more something from Priest that I haven't seen in a while. I know I've called his name a few times. But he does seem to, and I know he's an advocate for the classic passing, so maybe it's just working really good for him. But I want to say I'm going to come out and say I think Priest is going to be your dark horse from this. I think ultimately, like Dwayne said, I think the Lions and Tim probably are the favorite just for the simple fact that their roster to start with is pretty much set. They're ready to compete for a championship. and the Bears are kind of like right behind them, but they still need some like defensive pieces or whatever. But I think the Packers are your dark horse. If I had to bet on who is going to win this, I'd go for the Lions. But I think the Packers are a really good dark horse here because, again, like he's showed me some things with this the last few weeks that he's been playing football games that he can actually put up points and compete with some of these guys that are top players. So it'll be interesting to see.
To stick with the theme of teams that would surprise us, Priest just cannot play defense to save his life. He's already given up 42 points in the preseason. I think Collins got a long way to go with those Bears. They're going to need a lot of work. He knows how to do it. It's just going to take him a bit to get there. Give me Nassanger and the Vikings. He surprised a lot of teams with those Rams. Won some games he shouldn't have. Just didn't have all the firepower for what he was sort of left from when Tim gave him that team. He's got the Vikings. He needs some pieces still, but he's got some building blocks to build off of there. Give me the Vikings to be the dark horse over there. NFC South, you got Bird and the Panthers, Kevin and the Buccaneers, Big Hurt and the Falcons, me and my Saints. Mr. Maniac, your old division, who's the dark horse from the NFC South?
Looking at the past success, the Panthers and the Buccaneers, both those guys have been really the top dogs in that division. The Falcons now are run by Big Hurt. I don't really think you look at him as being a dark horse, but I think those Saints, I seen you play D-Money today, played him really close. I think you're going to be the dark horse in this division because, one, I think your roster with what you brought in your imports, you got a lot of speed on that roster, and so far from what I've saw, you run the ball really well. You've passed the ball pretty solid. I think it's going to be a different Saints team coming out of this division. I think you're going to be the dark horse here. Probably would pick the Panthers probably to win it, but I think those Saints are going to be in the mix and be the dark horse.
This is almost like a legacy division with Hurt, Kevin, Nate, and Bird in it. Once again, I'll reiterate what I said at the first. I think one of the first PPLs I came back on was I think our league as a whole is I guess you'd say the parity in this league is more than I've ever seen. Every league, every division is stacked, and you have Bird who showed, especially at the end of last cycle, how dominant he could be. Nate has kept these Saints, even through all their cap hill they've been in for like 2 Maddens now, has kept them relevant and winning on that side. You got Kevin the Buccaneers, who the post-Brady era has turned them back around with his import quarterback and now Drake May. And then you got Hurt. Hurt coming in this division is interesting because when Hurt's engaged, I would give Hurt like a top 5 with anybody here when he's engaged and he's playing and he's plugged in. And I would have to probably go with Hurt this. And I know that sounds odd calling Hurt that might be like bulletin board material for Hurt. Just call him like a surprise in this division, but the Falcons are young, and he got rid of Cousins. Still go with Penix, I'm sure. He's got Bijan at running back. He's got London. Other receivers got Kyle Pitts. The Falcons are built to win and to win long term, and I think this division will probably like rival maybe that AFC West is one of the most competitive, but competitive in a different way. But one of the most competitive divisions, because I think all 4 of these teams can win this division. All 4 of these teams have made runs before. But I will say a Big Hurt. That's the one that's going to surprise some people because he's young. He's got everybody on cheap contracts. It'd be interesting to see how he takes this Falcons team.
Yeah, all 3 of the teams, Panthers, Bucks, and Falcons, have owned this division last cycle. Of course, Maniac now has left the Falcons, but Big Hurt steps into it as a guy that used to be the Buccaneers and won this division a couple of different times. I'm sort of thinking dark horse looking at the rosters and sort of like who is the guy that could win with the roster that would shock you the most. And well, the Falcons have a really good Madden roster. Now they're going to have a really good owner. I don't know. I'm sort of struggling in this one. Give me the Panthers. I hate Bird's energy right now. I love Bird, but I hate your energy right now, Bird. But Bird's going to get it figured out. He's going to be able to win with those Panthers. They're going to shock some teams, especially this season. I know his real life Panthers, not a very good team, but he's got these Carolina Panthers. They'll be just good enough. Mr. D. Wayne, you had another little thought, though.
I I'm sorry. What'd you say, Nate?
You had another little thought that you sound like you want to insert.
Oh, no. Go ahead. No. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. NFC East, we got the Giants now with their guy, Mr. Beal, the almighty Mr. Dwayne and his Cowboys, Mr. Twinkie, one of the most underrated owners here in the Eagles. And then, of course, Mr. Fleury and the Commanders, who doesn't even know who Dwayne is. He has no clue. He's clueless on who Dwayne even is. Your dark horse, Mr. Maniac, coming out of this one. Dwayne, you're going last. I'll go after Maniac.
I think like you said, you could look at the owners and you can look at the rosters. I think if you're looking at the roster wise, I think you have to give the dark horse to the Giants. I think they're the weakest roster. He does have some good pieces on defense, but he did bring over some really nice import pieces that are kind of filling in some of those offensive weaknesses that the Giants have in real life. The Cowboys loaded on the roster. The owners, one of the top 3-4 dogs here in the league. The Commanders, their roster is young, but they're really good across the board in a lot of areas. Eagles roster stacked, but I think the consistency here, looking at the Eagles, Twinkie, he's been a really solid owner, but he has struggled in the games. I think he played a lot better, and I think so far, even in these new the football games that have come out, he's been really competitive and playing really well, and beating some guys that it's kind of caught some guys' attention. And I think you see it here also in the preseason. He's 2-0. He's putting up points. He's even in the chat, you can kind of feel like he's a little bit more excited about his opportunity this Madden. So I think as a league standpoint, I got to go with the Eagles here with Twinkie. I think he's going to be the dark horse that could maybe make some major noise in the division. And we've seen him take Dwayne down to the wire, and I think he even beat you like once.
Yes.
So, I think his confidence, I think, is just growing by the game in these football 25 games. I think you've seen him take that next level, and I think you're going to see him really make some noise, I think, coming into this Madden season.
We've been on this question for almost 30 minutes. This is taking forever for one question. I love what Bill and the Giants are going to be able to do, but can you consider Bill, who's rebuilt several different teams over his time here, a dark horse? I'm going with Twank. Twank, don't let me down, bro. I'm pulling for you. I pull for you every single Madden. Go in there and punch those dudes in the gonads. And Mr. Fleury, whatever you do, you don't let up on Mr. Dwayne and these tight ends. He will abuse it. You keep him in check. You make sure that he doesn't break that rule. Dwayne, who's the dark horse in your own division?
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble on that, but the Commanders is Shiloh.
Oh, that's right. Dang it. He was complaining because he was the Commanders today. That's right. I got him and Shiloh mixed up in my head.
But y'all hit the nail on the head there. It's hard to call Bill and the Giants a surprise. I do think I felt the different energy from Bill with these Giants. I do think he's back with his team. I think he's going to be scary. And I think the Commanders, I think he's got a young quarterback. He's got a lot of pieces. I know that the real-life Commanders haven't shown just a ton of fight, but he's got a lot of young guys on that team. I think Shiloh's a team that's a season or two away. Get some pieces around that, spend some money this offseason for agency, or make a deal right now, depending on how you're looking at it. It's hard to bank on Twinkie. Twinkie has gave me a run every year. He's one of the hardest games. When I referenced earlier about Roger being like chaotic, it's like Twinkie falls in that one too. No matter if Twinkie's 2-10 or 10-2, he gives you a battle night in and night out. He plays tight defense. You're not going to go in there and throw 400 yards against Twinkie. He's a great owner. He's stuck in through some good and bad times with the Eagles. I'll have to go with Twinkie. I mean, I know this is the first time we've all been unanimous on this, but Twinkie is like Nate says, one of the most underrated owners here. And I know me and Twinkie, he always don't always like me after our games, but I have a lot of respect for Twinkie, and he does a lot of good things to the Eagles team.
Twank will have meltdowns in the chat. He gets over it real quick, but he does have meltdowns whenever Hurts is kind of slinging that ball all over the place. Shiloh, I'm telling you, import quarterback top, 10 quarterback for Jaden Daniels. Let's make it happen. NFC West, D-Wayne. God, why do I keep doing? I've been doing it all night. D-Money and the 49ers. Well, you're a top dog here anyway.
Oh,
Mr. Joker and the Cardinals. Shut up, you are. Mr. Joker and the Cardinals. Mr. Meek and the Seahawks. And there's the guy, Mr. Fleury and the Rams. He doesn't know who D-Wayne is in this league. These are some dogs. This one and the AFC North, dogs on top of dogs on top of dogs. But those top three teams here, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, I mean, I'd match those up against just about anybody. I'm going to take this one first before I hand it over to D-Wayne. I'm thinking dark horse. Who can take that step? Well, to me, that takes Seattle and that takes the 49ers right off the table. You gotta go Cardinals. You gotta go Joker. He's so happy. Somewhere he is pinching his own nipples because he can use her defensive tackles again. He is so head over heels in love with that idea that like he is going to win. He's already 2-0. I know it's the preseason, but he's got a really good quarterback, a really good receiver. He's got some weapons. He's got to get that defense put together. He's got some kind of work to do there. I do wish that like the Cardinals and the Packers didn't just cut these young, fast, athletic quarterbacks who now one of them has signed in San Francisco. I wish those guys would have traded them away and held on to them a little longer. But outside of that sort of rant, give me the Cardinals as a dark horse. D-Wayne, who's your dark horse here?
Well, it's hard to argue with anything you said there. The 49ers, Seattle is it's like Holyfield and Tyson at this point. Like those guys are just going back and forth now for like what, 2 Maddens. Meek Boy has stepped into that Seattle's team and shown he belonged and hasn't stepped away from that pedestal. And Joker, honestly, Joker's held his own against both them guys. Like it's kind of crazy how well Joker has took that Cardinals team, which we all know is not a great roster the last season or two. And even with their best player has been Kyler Murray, who you just referenced as being cut, and he got rid of his best player per se. He gets a great wide receiver coming in out of the draft. Joker's going to Joker. He's going to compete. I would like to say the Rams. The Rams are my team that they're a couple seasons away, and it's not a shot at Fleury with that one. That's not his fault. I think he even referenced on his media days that he didn't know what he was getting into when he took the Rams. He felt like he got shanghaied or something like that, and he did. He just jumped right into the snake pit with this one. But that Rams team has some guys. I know he's signed a couple veterans. I would love to see him maybe move some of these older guys, maybe like a Cooper Kupp or Darius Williams, or get rid of some of these older guys and get a few picks. I think he's a season or 2 away. I hope he competes and I hope he plays hard. I would be investing in the future because these other 3 teams, they're built to win. They're built to win now. Fleury's my long-term pick for this division because it's so easy to go with those other 3 guys. Like you said, Meek and D-Money, Joker's he did more with less than a lot of people did here with that Cardinals team. I'm gonna go with Fleury. I just hope Fleury after a season or 2 can get these guys in place and kind of get rid of some of the veterans, get the youth infusion here, and I think those Rams will be scary.
Yeah, I'm kind of floating the same way too, and I don't want to keep like referencing the college game. I hope you're not offended by that because I know that's what we've been playing lately and stuff. But Fleury has he runs the Oregon State Beavers. That's like a 2-star, 3-star team. But he has competed. He has surprised me. He has competed, and he's like won like 8 games. He's kind of like the priest, and he's really competed against some guys. And I think even just kind of talking with him in the chats and stuff, I think his confidence is a little bit higher. He's a little bit more motivated, I think, about football games right now. And if he can bring that energy into this Madden season and really build on this team, I think you're going to see an improved Fleury owner. Because I know he struggled with the Vikings. It really seemed like he never could get his footing with that team. And then whatever other team they switched to, I know that it seemed like they switched around, but I could be wrong. But I think if he can kind of bring that energy into this Madden season and really focus that on getting this team built around and stuff, I think he's going to be the true dark horse of this division that could again, like, you're looking at all these other three guys. They're, they do what they do, and you expect what you get out of them. But I think he's going to be that guy that we're going to be talking about going like, ooh, Fleury put up, 30 points on the Seahawks, or something like that here, and may not be this season, but I think the next couple of seasons, and I think he's going to be really surprising us how well he's competing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, 40 minutes to get through that one, boys. That was a lot here. Mr. Bird says, which do you think will be more prominent in the league during the first season, running or passing? Bird, I think it's always passing. Guys like to pass the ball. It's sexy. It feels good. I think you're going to see an early kind of run on passing, especially with the guys who've been playing college. Man, I don't know what you're thinking. I would not get offended about college football. Like, you're good. Yeah, I want you to bring that expertise over here. But I think, Bird, guys who have been playing that game have figured out they're going to want to sort of take that advantage early on. I think we'll see it sort of even out more as we go. There'll be some teams that they concentrate on the run because that's what they do. But I think if you look at the overall numbers, it's going to be a pass-heavy league, especially to kick us off. Maniac, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the passing, what we saw so far from the football games, the passing, the revamp, all the new bells and whistles that go with the new way to play the game, I think it's really going to kind of drive the guys to either, one, they're trying to figure it out, or two, they're really good at it and they're going to use it because they're really good at it. So I think the owners that you see that are really good at passing and really good at the running, because there is a little bit of a learning curve with the rushing attack to this Madden. It's not the same as it's always been. It's a little bit different, but I think the guys that you see that are successful with both of those parts, I think they're going to really excel in this game. But passing is going to be the dominant thing that everybody's either trying to figure out or they're really good at, and they're being successful.
Yeah, Maniac says that. I really hope that's the case. I love when people throw the ball around. That means there's more chances for my guys to be intercepted.
Yes, you do.
And that's not a shot, Maniac. I would way rather a team pass 50 times on me than run 50 times on me. And that's just, but I do agree. I think there's going to be a very split down the middle. I think you're going to have your people, as somebody who I didn't play like a college franchise. I played the Road to Glory mode and stuff like that. I think there are going to be some guys. You talk about Priest and Fleury and guys that have did that. I think they will probably lean more towards the pass. I think there's a lot of guys that are like me. They're like Madden homers, like I am. Man, I like to run the ball because running the ball, especially early in this cycle when people are still kind of learning what's going on. If I can run the ball and not turn the ball over 4 times a game, I think that's the way I would lean. And I think a lot of guys will look at it the same way. I think you're going to be more split than you've been before. I think you're going to have a lot of guys that want to air it out. I played Jay Bowles earlier, and I promise you there's no guy that wants to air it out more than that guy does. He took me down the field 4 or 5 times, and he delivered on a couple of them. And, you people see something like that, and they're like, yeah, I want to be that guy. It's way more exciting passing the ball than it is running the ball, I can promise you. And that comes from a guy who likes to run it. I think you're going to be more split this year than you've ever been split on this because, like I said, with the NCAA dropping, 3 months before Madden came out, guys have been practicing. It's very similar. You're going to have a lot of teams that want to throw the ball 50 times a game. You're going to have a lot of guys that Nate's going to be knocking on the door saying you didn't run the ball 15 times.
Kobe says, how much do you think top guys influence everyone else? Is the D-Money effect real in essence? And I think it's hard to debate that it isn't. Look at the imports this year. Everybody either bought over an import cornerback or several import cornerbacks, or they're trading for really good cornerbacks. And that's because D-Money started that. I think when you see Dwayne, right, he is a guy that establishes the run. He sort of has very prototypical style offensive linemen, very prototypical safeties. You see guys start to look at that and begin to try to replicate that success. You see guys like Kevin with the passing. Maniac, who finds those really balanced teams. And you'll see dudes that find a style that most relates to them and then they start to build their teams like that. And I think the D-Money effect is very real, but a lot of the top dogs effect is very real, right? Give Bronco Man another dominant season. Give Kobe another dominant season. You're going to see guys start to replicate that success by trying to build those same style teams. Dwayne, you're one of the top dogs here. You've seen guys try to replicate you. Do you think that influence from top dogs is real?
I think it is. I think I would be one of the least influential ones because I play a very unexciting type of Madden. And it takes a lot of patience to run the ball and pick and choose when you want to pick apart the secondary. And even the D-Money there, I think there's a lot of people who D-Money's game sounds great because he wins, but D-Money doesn't play the most exciting Madden sport. If you want to go to that reference, I think that's why I think like your young influence here, you have had Kobe, you've had Randy, you had you have Penguins, like, or even like Cincyberg. I think Cincyberg's a little bit younger than I am. Guys that are really exciting and really mix it up and really throw it. And I think a lot of guys lean that way, especially play style wise. Team building wise is exactly like you said, though. People see these young corners and they're like, well, if I can have 3 to 4, or in D-Money's case, like 8 cornerbacks deep on my team, it makes it a lot easier when you can get 3 or 4 turnovers a game. I mean, speaking from somebody who plays D-Money, and it's a battle every time. There's nothing that's worse than playing quarterback, and you have to think every pass through. Like, you want to play so loose when you play Madden. You play better when you play loose. When you play somebody like D-Money or somebody like Randy or Kobe or Meek's a perfect example of that. Like, if you relax on a play, he'll punish you for it. And I think that's where that comes in at. They see D-Money makes it look so effortlessly, and they just don't realize that he's like Elon Musk 2.0 when it comes to Madden on that type of stuff. Like, it's not even, I'm not even talking about his stick skills. He just builds a team that makes it easier for him. If his defense can make plays for him, then he doesn't have to do as much on offense. And I think that's replicated. And I can use that example. I brought a cornerback. I've never brought a cornerback over. And I left my star linebacker over there to bring a cornerback over just for the fact that I've kind of leaned towards the one. I think the guys are going to throw the ball to start this Madden against me. And I was hoping to have 3 good cornerbacks to play against them. So I even fell into the D-Money effect.
Yeah, I fell into that effect last Madden because I brought over the Shepherd as an import last Madden, and then I turned around and brought him to the next Madden as well. So you're looking at how guys are building. You know, you do. I mean, the OMFL is no different than the NFL in real life. It's a copycat league.
It is.
Teams you start seeing having success, just like the Chiefs. The last 4 seasons, they've been either in the championship game or the Super Bowl. They've won the Super Bowl, and now you're seeing like a lot of teams kind of like copycatting and building fast wide receivers and using all kinds of different types of motions with their players and stuff to create a separation in their offensive attack. So just looking at that, I mean, the guys are, if you see something that's successful, then the question is, why can't it be successful for me? I'm going to give it a try. And I do know from experience, bringing over that import cornerback last Madden was big for my team to start off because it gave me 2 really good guys back in the back defensive field. Basically took a half of the field away from my opponent and only had to really focus on one side. So again, kind of fell in that same boat again this Madden. It may not work, but that's the plan. Take away half the field, let the CPU do its job, and then I'll worry about the other half, and kind of helps eliminate and create a game plan going forward.
Kobe says, what are 3 key things each owner could implement to have a successful season 111? Each of us is going to give one. Sorry if somebody steals yours. I'm going to go first. I'm going to keep it super, super simple, y'all. Don't throw picks. If you don't throw picks, you don't turn the ball over, you're going to have a successful season. You might not win every single game, but you're going to win more games than you lose just don't turn it over. Maniac, give him key number 2.
Play good defense.
Yeah, I think mine's gonna go right on with y'all. Is play the field position game. Don't turn the ball over. Play good defense, and make the other team go 70-yard drives to score against you. If you don't turn the ball over, play good defense, and you just play the field position game, eventually you're going to come out on top.
Super simple, right, Penguin? I mean, Kobe? It's just like, just do those things, and you'll be just okay. Bert says,
You'll win.
Bert says, which real rookie, not import, do you think will have the biggest impact in the first season? That is a pretty, bam, out there question, because not everybody's going to remember every single NFL rookie. I'm going to try to put it over here on the NFL rookies here, if it'll let me. But, Dwayne, who's an NFL rookie that pops into your head that thinks going to have an impact here in season 1?
Worthy for the Chiefs. I think that 98 speed, 96 acceleration, with the way the Shocks likes to throw the ball, I think he's really going to get him involved. I'm sorry I stole your Longhorn Maniac, but he's just a stud, and he's going to be a stud. He's already super fast. He's pretty much just a pre-Tyreek build for Shocks and those Chiefs, and I think he's going to and I hate to use the word exploiting, but he's going to exploit him. He's fast. He's going to exploit defenses with him, and I think he's going to be a game changer from day one.
You ruined my thunder, because I was going to go, hey, Shocks fan, let's make a deal. Get Worthy in Buffalo. No, you can't go wrong with that pick whatsoever. But I think one I'm going to throw out here, and I could probably pick 2. The wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Cardinals. I think he's going to be one. Drake May, though, going to the Bucks, I think he's going to be probably your offensive rookie of the year.
That's a really good pick by you. I'm going to go a little out of the box here. I'm going to go with the Raiders, and he's now got Mr. Bowers over here at tight end with a quarterback that is an import. He's already ready to go. He's got to find a bit of a running game, but Bowers in that 89 speed is going to be an absolute problem. Even with our rules, this guy can still be an impact player. I like Bowers to make a real difference, but I really like that Maniac pick. I think that's going to be a sneaky good one. Mr. Dwayne, these are both yours. He said, do you think the elite quarterback, I'm going to get over here. He says, do you think the elite quarterback is worth the money in the OMFL compared to drafting a quarterback who is worse in overall wise, but on a rookie deal? I'm going to approach this from the average OMFL player, because we literally have seen Dwayne win with like a 7th round, 67 overall quarterback that he built up from scratch with like 81 throwing power. Outside of like the above average player here, thinking of the average quarterback, do you pay the money for an elite quarterback or do you draft one? And I would say it depends. I know that's not a super sexy answer, but if you need to win immediately and you can manage your cap in other areas and draft really well in other areas, then you pay the quarterback that's already built and you're ready to go. If you're willing to take your bumps and bruisers and maybe take a season or 2 to sort of get the quarterback that you need and then have a good run of 3 seasons on a rookie deal, then you draft one and you don't pay them. Someone like me, I needed to get some cap space. I took over a guy that's still on his rookie deal, much shorter rookie deal, but I've got through the bumps and the bruises with him. I think most owners go through bumps and bruises with rookie quarterbacks, even the top dogs, the top 5 quarterbacks that are just like superstars from the get-go. They're still going to take those bumps and bruises. So just depends on where you are with your team. And do you have an old aging team? You need to go win now. Do you have a team in cap hell and you need to sort of bite the bullet for a season or 2? Depends on where you're going to go. If you're sort of average above everything, you're sort of like across the board, your team's okay, your cap's okay, everything's okay, then it depends on what that guy's asking. Maniac, what do you think? You were the guy that paid big-time quarterback, big-time money, and hated him from the second you signed it.
I'm over here screaming, me. Yeah, Parker Colt. That's like a curse word to me, nearly. I mean, it's like everything screamed about this man like he should perform exceptional well in that Madden game. And at first he did, but I don't know. It's just, like I said, he couldn't throw some passes he could not throw and could not hit the side of the barn. Like I would just be in a match and I throw a pass that my 74 overall quarterback was making. That's like 2 weeks ago when Parker Colt was hurt. And Parker Colt's got like 97 mid accuracy, and he's throwing it out of bounds. I'm like, what is going on? So really, my experience with that, I almost, I still would go back and I'd probably do the same thing, but now I'm like telling myself, I'd be outside of myself going like, don't do it. Save the money. Start the 74 overall guy. He's got just as much attributes to make the plays that I play and save that money and build up the other part of my squad. Then maybe I could be more dominant in certain areas that I also struggled with having that top guy. So again, here I am with the Bills. So I've got arguably one of the best, probably the top 3 quarterbacks in the league to start the game off. He's already paid, but I think sometimes import creations are different than from the real game players that are already in the game. So, I mean, that's a different story. That's a rabbit hole. You always tell me I'm going down rabbit holes. So, but I think, if you're confident with that player and you've played a couple seasons with him and he's making the plays for you and you don't want to rebuild, pay him. But I also say, word of caution, if you're going and grabbing from somebody that's brought in an import quarterback that looks really sexy and you're getting a hold of them and not really getting to feel what they're like, as far as like with your game style, your gameplay, caution. You might want to go a different direction. I'm just saying. So again, like I said, I would probably do the same thing, but knowing that experience I went through, I'd probably really talk myself out of it, save that money, and build other parts of my team to be better successful.
Dwayne, it's your question, but what do you think?
I think Maniac, I think y'all both covered it well. Maniac, he kind of hit the nail there on he felt like his 74 overall guy wasn't, that far off from it. And I think that's where the line's drawn at. I think that when you have that elite quarterback that you can tell the difference, that he can pick apart that other team, and then you have to kind of ask yourself, is that worth it compared to, hey, I can make most of the passes, I can make a lot of the plays, and I can spend $35 million on the rest of the team rather than giving a quarterback. And this speaks from a guy who I got to make that decision this cycle myself on. Hey, the unknown is scary because if you don't get a good one in the draft, the free agent market for quarterbacks is still expensive, even for just average quarterbacks in our free agent. Do you pay your guy who is a good quarterback? And I think that's where people have to draw the line at. And I've seen success on both sides of that. We've seen guys with good quarterbacks win championships here. We've seen guys with, D-Money's a good example. I'm trying to think who's Randy. I think he had Anthony Richardson on early Anthony Richardson before he got really good, won a championship. And there's just a fine line there on, do you feel like you need that quarterback to take that next step? And there's a lot of offensive guys here that believe that, and there's a lot of guys that believe they can spend $30 million somewhere else and they can get by with the just average quarterback.
I was a little bit like Maniac, where I too had a lower 70s, middle 70s overall quarterback that could make, you said it perfectly, Dwayne, could make most of the throws. It was in the crunch time, the tight windows, the money throw that you needed for a touchdown to take a lead. He couldn't make those throws. Those throws would end up getting batted away or knocked away or picked off or whatever it was. And there is a difference between upper echelon elite quarterbacks and then guys who can just kind of get the job done. Last question, then we get to close this world's longest hour-long OMFL mailbag in existence. Number 2 from Mr. Dwayne. Do you build your team from the trenches back or skill player, receiver, running back, cornerback heavy? This is a great question, and I'm super intrigued to hear how both of you are thinking. Mr. Dwayne, I want you to get us started. How are you thinking as you approach this?
I've always been a trenches guy. I thought the game was one of the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Hey, as long as you got both those, everything else will work. I've kind of went the opposite this cycle. I've kind of, it's been said I've went quite a bit without, winning the big one. And I said, well, we'll just switch things up. Kind of why I brought another cornerback over this cycle. I brought a running back over this cycle. I did bring a lineman, but I feel like maybe we'll switch things up. Maybe we'll kind of go the other way, take away the skill positions and attack the skill positions, and that might be a reason why I decided to maybe I'll pay Dak Prescott and maybe go a little more skill position heavy and see if the ball comes out a different way this time. I've always been a fan of the trenches though. Offensive line, defensive line wins it for you. I'm kind of changing it up, but I'm really intrigued to see how y'all think about that because you think about that. If you got a good front five, and I know Nate, I think it was like 2 Maddens ago with the Saints. The Saints had a hell of offensive line, and I know you were frustrated because you felt like they did not play up to their standards. And you kind of get that in Madden. You pay a lot of money for offensive linemen, and they can be so frustrating because especially against a user or against something, and they don't seem like they play up to their ability. And I'm curious to see what y'all think about that.
I've kind of been in the same boat. Like I tried to build the trenches, or at least how I was like that. Last Madden, I kind of transitioned a little bit to maybe more balanced because, like, again, my import was cornerback. I also brought in a backup quarterback, and then I also had a offensive lineman that I brought in as a backup. But those looking at this Madden, I think I'm kind of evolving to that point too. Even looking at like the draft, a lot of the guys have went really heavy with the first few rounds. You see guys taking the flyers on the fast wide receivers, fast cornerbacks. And a lot of the guys, some of the guys would be taking, the not sexy picks, the offensive lineman, defensive lineman stuff, and that's good even like in the draft. But I think I started realizing, I think the last 2 drafts of last cycle that I was getting the same style and production from lower end defensive linemen, offensive linemen coming in that basically I was getting from spending those high picks because there wasn't really there's a little bit of a difference in the skill gap with the upper higher rated linemen and stuff, but not a whole lot. And I started seeing like my offensive line. I know Nate kind of gave me a hard time about because I was thinking, like I'm not gonna be able to field a team. So the last season, my offensive line was like on paper looked awful, and you would probably look at it like, man, I'm probably going to give up a lot of sacks, and I did give up quite a few sacks, but my offensive production, I had one of the best running seasons that last season with Bijan. I also had probably one of the more balanced offensive passing attacks with Parker Colt and with my receivers that last season, and my offensive line was not very good. They weren't high picks. They weren't. They were middle of the road. 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks that were actually starting for me and doing a solid job. Even one of them made the Pro Bowl the season before, and he was like a 4th round pick. So I think looking at how I approach it now, and I can. Sorry, I'm so long-winded. I feel like I gotta explain every detail to extent to get my point across. But looking at it the long term, I think the players that you can get in the top rounds compared to the latter rounds, especially in those skill positions where you get 2 or 3 points faster wide receivers early on because guys are taking them all up. If you're able to get one of those guys, they can be a complete game changer for your squad that makes the other team that you're going to face each and every week have to game plan around that guy as compared to they're not going to have to game plan around an offensive lineman that you took first round that, maybe he's got 95 strength or whatever. And the same thing with the defensive line. I took guys in the 3rd and 4th, 5th round, and by the end of the season, 2 or 3 seasons in, they were star dev. They were 85 overall, making big plays in the backfield. So I think just looking at it, I think there's a big skill gap to where you look to take and get those skill positions early on, build around those. I think that's kind of the way the Madden has always been. But I've always tried to be balanced. But I think I'm so pushing towards that, looking at going heavy early on with those type of skill positions, because I think then you can build those other guys through those later rounds, and you can add your points to them to build them up or whatever, because you already got guys that are capable of changing the way defenses and offenses play you, because you spent the big time picks on those guys that make a big difference.
I think I'm in the exact same boat as both of you. I am old school. I believe the game is still won in the trenches in the NFL. And sure, the skill positions and the sexiness of offenses plays a role now, but it is still won up front by the big uglies. And in the last cycle, I believe that. And so I'm bringing over defensive linemen, offensive linemen, and I sucked for the first 4 out of 5 seasons. And it wasn't until that 5th season when I finally had drafted some offensive linemen that played really, really well and made a lot of changes on the offensive line. That's when my team started to make a run. We didn't make the playoffs, but we got really, really close in that last season. And it was because of that offensive line. Now, I still can't figure out defensive line. Even this Madden, it has been a struggle. And I have come to the way that both of you have. And I think that in Madden, you got to go skill position. Speed kills, and it will kill in Madden 25, especially on All Pro. I think on All Madden, doesn't kill as much. All Pro, it absolutely murders. I watched Dwayne run away from most of my defensive players on simple, easy little plays. And it's like, my God, how did we give up a touchdown on that play? And so I do still think that speed kills, and that you can get away with having just strong offensive linemen, or good block shed defensive linemen that maybe aren't fully built, fully well-rounded offensive linemen or defensive linemen, but really, really good skilled positions at cornerback and receiver. And I still think that speed at receiver and running back this Madden, at least early on, they're going to be game changers. And guys who are quickly able to add speed skill players at those 2 positions are going to be really, really dominant. And it's why we've got the tight end rule, because I think if we didn't, speed tight ends would be just game changer in this entire league. Whew, we got through it, fellas. The OMFL mailbag is empty. Let's do one final closing thought. Mr. Maniac, close us out before we go to Dwayne.
I feel like I talked way too much already, but I'm excited to get the season rolling. I'm enjoying the preseason games. I think the game is going to play probably a little bit different in the regular season. I think that's one thing I have learned in all the Madden experience, that once you get into the regular season, things play just a little bit different, a little bit more tighter, especially on the defensive side. That may not be the case, but again, that's just kind of the way it's always been the last few Madden. So, but I'm looking forward to getting going and competing with these guys, and I'm enjoying. Like I said, I'm enjoying the game. Really looking forward to getting back in full swing and getting things rolling, and really enjoy the Press Fest Live with you guys. I'm so glad that Dwayne's back now. That third party. So we're not. You and I are not just throwing air in nowhere sometimes, because we get kind of bogged down or whatever. But I think this brings a new dynamic back, and I'm so glad that Dwayne's back with us. Looking forward to doing.
Yeah, I think Maniac just said it right there. Bringing me back added 45 minutes to the show, because I can ramble on with the best of them. No, I'm excited. I think I've said it multiple times since I've been here. I think this is the most parity I've seen. I'm excited to see the different owners and the different divisions take on each other. I'm predicting now. I'll say if we play 5 seasons, I think we have at least 3 different champions this cycle. I think if we play 6 seasons, I think we have 4 different champions this cycle. I think this is really going to shock guys. I think there's some guys here that are really going to surprise some people. I think some guys that showed their, when I say true colors, I don't mean that in a negative connotation. They showed their true colors last cycle, that they were really good owners and really good coaches. And I think it's going to show. And I think some of the quote unquote top dogs here are going to be, I ain't gonna say knocked out. They're gonna be humble. They're gonna see that there's some new blood here, and I think me and Nate, or me and Nick, were talking about the other day. This is like the 8th or 9th Madden I've been here, and you've seen a lot go by, but I've seen a lot of owners come and go, and I just think that maybe this group might be the best group of owners I've seen, at least skill wise, and so I'm just really excited to see the variety and parity of people that are going to make an impact this cycle. And I think it's going to be better for the league to see this amount of people, make runs and make the playoffs, and instead of the same old guys, every Madden per se.
I completely agree with both of you. My final thought is I think the Twitch experiment is dead. I know that everybody loves to stream on Twitch. I just don't. I hate the quality. And so I think I'm just going to stay on YouTube. And maybe we do Twitch every now and then as a sort of like a random multi-stream for a Press Pass Live or something. But I miss the quality of just being on YouTube and being able to stream super high quality. And so I don't know. I think we're going to do that. And you're also going to see some changes here with the stream. I'm moving these lights away. They've been driving me absolutely batty, and so we're going to be moving those somewhere else and putting some different things back there. So you're going to notice some stream changes here pretty soon to go along with the other stream changes that we've already done here for Madden 25, and we're doing a giveaway. So if you would like to be a part of the $150 giveaway for a new extended internal SSD extended storage for your PS5, make sure to go click that button. We're going to give it away in 2 weeks. So that's going to be a ton of fun. And here to come, I'm looking at like some PS5 controllers to give away, those new, whatever they call them, the Elite controller or whatever, the Pro controller. We're also going to give away maybe some earbuds, those new PlayStation earbuds, the PlayStation overhead headphones. So lots of giveaways still to come. Trying to spread them out a bit more this year, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, thank you for another great pass. Thank you for another great Press Pass Live, and thanks for all the mailbag questions. I appreciate you. I'm going to go get a nap and then wake up in the morning and find out what's up with the storm and what I got to do with my life. So remember, you matter to me. You matter. Thank you for being here. Make sure you come back and hang out with us. If you're not part of the Grown Folks family and you're an adult who plays gaming as a hobby, come check us out. If you play it, we got a group of people that play it here, probably having to organize a league around it. Come check us out. Then you're going to meet a lot of people that you really like and dig. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. We'll see you. Peace.
Sorry, guys.
Smash that like and subscribe.